Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's another beautiful day, and I just wanted to welcome you and thank you and all the gratitude in the world for having you here in the pirate community. And I know that there's a lot of interesting things that we talk about every single day on the Pirate Broadcast. And one of the things that always intrigues me is what business owners do or what people do to change and evolve and grow and, kind of bring some value to the world. And today we want to talk a little bit about something completely different. And we have Grant in the room, and we're going to be talking about a couple of different things, golf being one of them, air traffic control being another one, and how they correspond and connect with each other. And so, Grant, happy day. How are you this fine, wonderful day?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure and an opportunity to kind of share some of the things that, on a positive note, you take care of a lot of the things that are flying around in the air in the Atlanta area. And you've served the country in the Air Force, and you've had a lot of experience in the flight and managing flights. And, with this whole COVID thing and the pandemic, there's been a few challenges with flying. And so I anticipate that there's probably a reduction in flights. I don't know what the total exposure looks like or anything like that. Has that impacted your workload and your activities across the board?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can imagine, the flying community, as far as the airlines goes, is severely impacted by the COVID-19, and so the flights are extremely down. They're still flying. There's still airplanes in the air, and we're still in there and providing the service and separating the airplanes. But it's seriously slower than not that long ago.
So you've been doing this for a while. So I anticipate that technology has evolved, radar and communications have evolved, and some things that you've seen even in your career, have taken place. So what are some things that, people would not even be aware of that have evolved since you've been in the business of air traffic control?
So it is evolving. It's kind of a cool time to be involved in it because really until the last few years, the technology hasn't really evolved. It's basic radar technology, which we're still using, but they've taken it to another level with next gen, and they're using satellites and ADS-B, which is our sensors basically on airplanes where they can detect each other. And they've integrated it. So now they use, the satellites, the radar, and the ADS-B, all together. And it provides us a better picture and allows us to more efficiently separate the airplanes.
So you can identify their location and their distance and their altitude and everything that goes along with it. So
absolutely. So with the old school radar technology, if you can think actual radar spinning, we would get updates periodically. So long range radar is 12-second update, and short range radar is like a 3-second update. And so now we're getting updates every second. And so so we know more precisely the positioning of the planes, and not only longitudinally, but also with their altitude. So if you think in a 3D picture. So yeah, it's an interesting time to. We're finally seeing the technology kind of get into the new century and some things. So it's fun. It's a fun time to be in aviation.
It's funny because my son right now, I've always been a fan of aviation, and one of the things that I was excited about bringing you on is kind of understanding what the roadmap looks like in terms of technology and aviation. I actually went all the way through ground school and high school, and was on the map to get a pilot's license and everything else. And then I went down a path of music, and so it's like they didn't coincide. And now my son's getting his pilot's license, so it's personal adventure down this kind of conversation about aviation and the architecture of aviation, and it's just fascinating to me. And what's really fascinating is this week that relating to aviation and history and space is that we actually sent a couple of people out into space, into the space station from U.S. soil, first time in 9 years, and so that's kind of exciting. Did you get a chance to watch that?
Yeah, so I was actually at work when they did the launch. It was pretty cool. We were looking on a big map, seeing the kind of the restricted areas they had put up, and they had recovery zones and restricted areas and stuff. So we were looking at that, but and I was at work, but yeah, I was able to watch it, and it was cool. It was just awesome to see that. And I don't know what was. I guess this one was different just because it hasn't happened in a while, but it was fun. It was fun to watch. It was surprisingly really fun to watch. Like, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, they put on a pretty good production. And fortunately, nothing happened, and everything worked as designed and expected. And the rockets came down and landed. And it's just like the fact that the rockets are coming down and landing and they're reusing them is just phenomenal. I mean, that's the same equation as airplanes. If you had to take a flight and every flight, they had to dispose of an airplane, it would be kind of a costly adventure. So it's fantastic. Well, the reason that I wanted to bring you on here, and one of the exciting things is, aviation, flying, and especially air traffic controller can be, kind of stressful, Grant, and that's what I've been told. I don't know the job. I'm sure, like we were talking about before the show, is your wife has a more stressful job than you do with the kids and the chaos and the schedules and everything that go along with it. However, one of the benefits of having a stressful job is finding an outlet. And what I want to talk about on the Pirate Broadcast a lot of times is, how do you find a way to relax? And what I've discovered about you, Grant, is that you are an avid golfer. And I really haven't talked a lot about sports on this channel, but you have a unique opportunity, because not only are you an avid golfer, but you're starting an entrepreneurial journey around the clothing line and stuff like that. So talk about golf first, and let's venture into the conversation about your products and some of the things you're doing with that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your golfing experience. And you got a long history in golfing, from what I understand.
Yeah, so we have a long family history in golf. My granddad and his three brothers were all professional golfers, from the PGA Tour on down to just the teaching professional level. And so I kind of got into golf. You would think I would have gotten into it really early with that background, but my grandfather introduced me to the game. But I didn't really get into it until after he had passed, and I was in just before high school. And so, yeah, just fell in love with the game. And so, yeah, I played competitively, and then, now I just play for fun. And it's just, I just love to do it. And, now I just get out there and enjoy it, and still want to play well, get those competitive juices going, but I keep that in check, and enjoy the weather, and just enjoy being out there and enjoying my buddies, and the banter, and the fun of the game.
Well, it's really a relationship game. It's about spending time with somebody. It's not as if you're, shooting an electronic game or anything like that. Whole different atmosphere, a whole different pace. And it's the pace that is, it's so different than most games that you play. So if you play a full, even a 9-hole game, if you play 9 holes, it still takes a little bit of time, so you have to go out there and you have to learn how to relax through the game, walking and having conversation and things like that. So it's really, for me, it's a relationship game. It's a game of, an opportunity to build and develop deeper understanding of who you're hanging out with and what you're doing. Is that something you find valuable or include in your golfing activities?
Yeah, absolutely. And so to kind of echo what you're talking about, the game, there's a pace of the game. And so it's a challenge for everybody. So we play, I play every Monday morning. We have the first tee time at our club, and it's typically the same group, and we play fast in that group. I mean, we really rip it around. So when I play other times and we're not the first out, you got to really change your mindset, because you're not going to rip it around. You're going to play that 4.5 hour round, and you got to kind of change your mental mindset on, all right, let's slow it down. But, I really kind of enjoy that, because, there's other things you get to enjoy. So there's a little more banter, just changing your pace and really kind of thinking and clearing your mind. And, if we play before work, you clear your mindset and get, really prepared. And it's just, it's awesome. But there's a challenge in golf. There's a mental challenge there, and it's part of what I really like about the game. And also, like you were saying, it's a relationship game. It's you build relationships with people out there, and that is really, really fun.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played around of golf, and I know that when I have played golf, it's been enjoying the company. It's not a hurried pace. It's been a relaxed pace. It's probably to the chagrin of the people behind us. It's like, so, and the thing about it is, I'm sure that it gives you a lot of time to think. And you've actually developed a line of clothing and golf attire, gloves and things like that you're creating and evolving into. And what kind of sparked that whole activity, and what is that looking like and developing? Expand on that a little bit for us.
So for like the last decade, it's I wanted to be into the golf business space, and I just didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what that would be. And we come from a family of entrepreneurs. My brother's an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur. His dad was an entrepreneur. And so it's just kind of in the blood. And so it's just the way that we kind of think. And so I kind of always knew in the back of my mind I would get into it, but I didn't know how or what that would look like. So this winter I was jonesing for golf, and I was looking for a carry bag, and kind of, I had in my mind what I wanted. I couldn't really find what I wanted. So I was like, a few days later, I was like, I'm going to make that bag. And a couple days after,
scratch the itch, right? Scratch the itch.
That's it. And so then I said, this is it. This is where I'm going to come into the golf space. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to make golf bags, I'm going to have hats and t-shirts. And I got really lucky. It's hard to get into the golf glove space, if you will. It's you may not think that, but it's a very, very tight community there, and it's very difficult to kind of get into. And things just kind of came together, and I reached out to some friends and got set up in that. And so we have a golf glove and other leather goods, head club covers, and it just kept going from there. So it's pretty awesome.
So Tanner, your brother, who I know, who lives here in Phoenix, and we're connected through a couple of different groups. And I've known Tanner for years, and he told me about what you were doing. And it's like, that's fascinating. I love that. And here's the thing that really brings it to attention is that even in an industry that you would think would be populated with, the big players. There's still room and there's still activity in the niche space for a brand identity, being able to create your own identity, be able to create your own space and develop, something that isn't in place already, and I love that. I love the activity and I love the idea of sharing that because, the pirate community is all about interesting people doing interesting things. And it's really fascinating to me that you couldn't find a bag. You couldn't find exactly what you wanted. So you went out and created it. And then all of a sudden, all these ancillary items as a result of your kind of experience and your journey through that, all of a sudden you're saying, well, heck, I can do this, right? So you didn't talk about it. You went out and did it. So congratulations, applause to you. It's like a round of silent applause for Grant. So, and it's fantastic. And it's really, I want to inspire people to think about how that applies to your business, your hobby, your sports, your, anything that you're doing. And so what was the biggest challenge you had in this process? What was it that you found interesting or curious as you were going through this process?
Well, I would kind of, just to tag along with what you're saying, I think almost the most challenging thing is, I talked about wanting to do this for like 10 years, right? So I think the biggest challenge that people can probably relate to is just hitting launch. Just go for it. And, once I got past that and once I committed to doing it, it's like everything else just fell into place. I used my contacts and my network and everything was right there. And I didn't know it or was trying, whatever, subconsciously blocking it. And so you commit and you go, and then everything, it's like the universe just opens up for you and you're meant to be there. And so that's what I would tell people is go for it. And that's probably the biggest challenge. Everything else, there's been challenges. Obviously, anybody who's started a small business knows
there's always challenges.
But if you just keep working it and working the problem, you're going to figure those challenges out. And if you don't, maybe that portion of whatever you're trying to figure out wasn't meant to be, and you pivot. But typically, those challenges are gonna be worked out. So I think the biggest challenge for me was going and
starting.
Yep. And once I committed, I'm kind of an all-in person. And, I want to, it's like Tanner and I talk about all the time. I'm committed to being, to being a winner. And so whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to give it 110%. And that's everything, everything in life, not just my business, air traffic, being a dad, all that stuff. I'm going full bore.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And it's a message that I think a lot of people need to hear and understand, especially during this challenging time because there's a lot of people that are out of work. And I've talked about this so many times on the show is, there are other things that people can do. There's skills you can learn. There's activities and opportunities out there everywhere if you're willing to look for it and take the leap of faith and say, I can do this. I can do something. I can make a difference. And what happens after you start is that's at the point where you start getting some feedback on what you're putting out there. It's like, okay, you can't really get any feedback when it's just an idea in your head. You have to really kind of put something out there in order for you to actually see kind of what direction and make adjustments along the way. It's just like a flight, 2 degrees off going across the country could, you end up in a different place. Mm-hmm. And you make adjustments along the way and, the wind comes up and you have to, make a few more adjustments and then to get to where your destination is. Business and startups especially are the same way. you make adjustments along the way, but you need the feedback of launching in order to accomplish that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to say hi to a couple of people here. Good morning, gentlemen, from Air Force One veteran to another aim high, 44th. So Lewis, thank you so much for being here. Angie's good morning. Thank you, Angie. Always happy to have the pirate in the room. Wendy's here. Good morning. Thank you for being here, Wendy. Con, hey, good morning. Ahoy, Pirate Broadcast. Thanks for your service. And Wendy says, I played golf in high school years. I had to quit due to allergies of grass.
Oh, man.
That's brutal. Bruce, you'd always follow your dreams. And Michelle, she was on here yesterday. Yep. Michelle is also an avid believer in, living the day, living your life, and putting it all in there. And Sherry Lawley, innovation out of necessity. I love it. So just because it's been done, it's never been done by you. I love that. So Grant, where are you in the process, and where are you in the evolution as far as you can tell right now? So you're still developing products. You've got a space in the glove market, which is gloves are consumables. So that's an ongoing thing that you can actually evolve with and pursue. And then what about, bags? I anticipate bags, or, people hold on to bags for a little while because that's a pretty stable item. Shirts, apparel, is that something that you're going to be pursuing as well?
Yeah. So we do T-shirts right now. We don't do like collared golf shirts yet. It is something we're going to get into. I'm exploring right now, and again, going to use some of our connections and get into that as well. I have some design ideas that I want to do there, but yeah, we're making just T-shirts right now. We're making hats, gloves, towels, leather goods in the bag. So we have some different stuff coming out as far as the hats and whatnot, and in the apparel side of things. But yeah, and the bags are doing good. It is like you said before, we're in that niche market, the boutique golf space, I call it, and but yeah, it's going good, and yeah, so there's some other ideas that we're gonna explore here in hopefully the second half of 2020, which I'm gonna venture to say is gonna be better than the first half of 2020. And
crossing our fingers, right?
Yeah.
So how do people find you? I mean, let's talk about the actual brand. What is the brand, and what is the name and everything that goes along with that?
Yeah. So
share everything.
The name is Eagles and Arrows.
I love that.
Thank you. And you can find us at eaglesandarrows.com. And then social media, you can find us at Eagles and Arrows CO on Facebook, Instagram. And yeah, so check us out on our website, and you can read the story of our family history in golf, and how I kind of came about playing, and yeah.
I'll have to share all the links in the post and all of these posts, the transcription, the podcast, the broadcast, and transcription are all going to be on russjohns.com. As you know, I post these every day, and I share this story every day with people, and it's just amazing that you're doing this. So from an overall entrepreneurial journey, what would you say is, what are some lessons learned that you could share with people that are thinking about it and haven't yet jumped into the equation? I mean, other than get started, just
get started.
Thinking about it.
Get started is key, but I think it's a lot like many things in life. Using your network and the connections you've made with people in other spaces and times in your life, and then just like a lot of things in life, if you put the time and the effort into it and stuff, you know, and
Yeah.
you work really hard at it, there's a good possibility you're going to come out and be a winner, you know. And it's tough in small business, but
Yeah.
you know, if you want it bad enough and you put the work in, you can do it. You know, I kind of relate it back to air traffic, and you know, I work at Atlanta Approach, which is
Mm-hmm.
one of the busiest airspaces in the world, and you know, guys come in here and they transfer in here from other facilities, and they're kind of blown away, mesmerized by what we do, and I try and simplify it for them. You know, if I tell them, if you put the effort in and you want this bad enough, you
Yeah.
can, you have to believe you can do it, and then you just put the work in and you can do it. And it's very, very few people who do those two things that don't make it.
Yeah.
And I think in small business, kind of the same thing. You know, you have to try and make some good financial decisions, I think, and but then you put the work in and use your network of people and really just give it everything you have. You know, I feel like you'll probably be more successful than not. So that would be the biggest thing I would say, is obviously getting started, number one,
Yeah.
and then just working your tail off. And
Yeah.
you know, you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe in your product, and use your network.
Well, I think so many of us, you know, especially in a long journey for developing a business, there's moments where you're thinking, why did I think I could do this? You know, there's the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome, and those things kick in. And you do have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that this idea is worth sharing. It's worth putting out in the world, and it's important to make sure that this is out there. So I just really, I thank you for being on here, and I thank your brother Tanner for introducing us and connecting us and building that network, because
Absolutely.
you know, right now in this day and age, you know, everybody is open and available to have an opportunity to share their voice, their you know, their message, their gift, their whatever it happens to be. And you're only one conversation away from getting what you might need to move your business forward.
Mm-hmm.
So going out there, building relationships, developing connections, making sure that you're having conversations like this, I think is really important. And you never know where it's going to go. You never know what it's going to be like. And so ideally, long term, 5 years from now, what would be the best possible outcome you could envision in your future with this brand, Eagles and Arrows?
You know, I just hope that people are enjoying and liking the products that we're putting out. And you know, in 5 years, it would be just amazing if we were in, you know, golf courses, public municipal courses, and country clubs across the country, and you go walk in and get you an Eagles and Arrows carry bag.
Highlighted in the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be awesome to have somebody out there wearing Eagles and Arrows shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you know, kind of touching back to you know, people starting a business and whatnot. Don't limit yourself, you know, to what's out there. And, you know, it's important to set goals, but, you know, don't set them too low, you know, go to the moon. And
you might reach them.
You might reach them. You know, there's a golf psychologist that I read a lot of books from, and he talks about, you know, he does work with PGA Tour players, and these guys, they just like, I just can't, I can make a cut, and that's all I can do. And it's well, they've made their goals to make the cut on a PGA Tour event, and they do that, and then they fizzle from there. And it's so, don't set your goals too low, shoot for the moon, and really go for it. And yeah, I'd love to see Eagles and Arrows in golf shops all over the country. And yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Well, when that happens, Grant, I could say I knew him when.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you sharing your story and sharing your gifts and some of the things you're doing. And thank you for serving the country. And and keeping the airspace safe in Atlanta. I've flown in and out of that airport a number of times, and it's a busy airport and a lot of airspace there. So I just really thank you for being here, and I appreciate you and all the things you're bringing to the table. And if you want to get a hold of Grant, eaglesandarrows.com, is it?
You got it.
And he's also on LinkedIn, although you're not as active on LinkedIn as some of the people in the community. So we'll have to work on you there. So
I'm going to have to do some work in the LinkedIn space.
Well, stay on the course and keep growing the business and keep us posted on what the activities look like on that side of the equation. So
thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute blast.
Grant, it's always a pleasure, and I love the opportunity to share stories like yours to the pirate community and everything else. So great show. Love the company name. Have a groovy day, guys. That's Lewis. You're awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And also, as you guys know, and every day is kindness is cool, smiles are free, and you enjoy your day. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.